on TV every night is insane to us. I've never seen anything like it. I'll meet regular people, square Joes, on their way to work, and they'll stop, hang out with me, try this drug for the first time, and then leave their life. Literally, not leave. From that moment on, they're just out here with us.
In Canada, winter does not argue. It does not negotiate. It does not care who you were before life fell apart. It is 5 in the morning. The city is quiet. Storefront lights glow like nothing is wrong. A bus sighs to a stop, doors opening and closing for commuters who still have somewhere to go. And just a few feet away, someone is trying to sleep sitting up, because lying down on frozen ground can make the night feel even longer. Now ask yourself this: if your home disappeared this week, where would you go tonight? If your hands were numb, your clothes were damp, and you knew people might avoid looking at you, how would you keep your dignity? If you had to choose between hunger, fear, and the cold, what would you choose first? And if you walked past someone in that situation, would you look away? Or would you let them know they still matter? Because sometimes what keeps a person going is not a perfect speech or a big promise. Sometimes it is a simple sentence. You are not invisible. You are still human. You still have value. This story is not here to shame anyone.
Customers start to notice that people are dying from a batch of cocaine, and that the autopsy results are showing that it's because of an opioid overdose. No one's buying that cocaine anymore. I mean, it just doesn't make financial sense to kill your customer base.
It is not here to shock for entertainment. It is here to show reality with respect, in a way that is safe for advertisers and safe for viewers. And it is here to remind us of something most of us forget on busy days. A society can be judged by how it treats people when they have nothing left to prove. Welcome to Homeless US News. We cover the street-level truth with dignity. We avoid humiliating language. We do not glorify harmful behavior. We focus on the human story, the systems behind it, and the practical steps that help people move from survival to stability. Tonight, we travel through a different kind of map: Canada's winter streets, where homelessness is not just a housing crisis. It is also a crisis of belonging. Stay with us until the end, because the last part is not just a conclusion. It is a pledge, something every one of us can do, starting now.
A lot more people are dying, and it's in a lot of the drug supply, and people are doing it without knowing they're doing it. And it's made substance use horrifyingly deadly.
Part 1. The Invisible Fight. Most people think homelessness is mainly about a roof. But on the street, homelessness is also about what happens inside a person when the world stops reflecting their humanity back to them. In Canada's largest cities, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, homelessness has become harder to hide. Not because people want to be seen. Often it is the opposite. Many people try to disappear. They lower their heads. They move to quieter corners. They choose spaces under awnings, near transit stops, beside building entrances, anywhere the wind is less aggressive and the night is slightly less sharp. And then comes the second cold. Not the temperature, the gaze, the indifferent gaze of people rushing past, the quick glance that turns away, the body language that says, "Don't involve me." That kind of daily rejection is not just uncomfortable. Over time, it can crush the will to keep trying. Outreach workers often say something heartbreaking. Some people can go days or weeks without hearing their own name spoken kindly. Think about that. A name is not a luxury. A name is a tether to identity. When you lose your name in the crowd, you start to feel like you are floating outside the human world. This is why the most meaningful help sometimes begins with something that costs nothing. A non-judgmental look, a calm greeting, a good morning. Are you okay? I'm glad you're still here. That does not solve homelessness, but it restores a piece of the person that homelessness tries to steal. In winter, the visible struggle is physical, but the deeper struggle is emotional. People do not only fight the cold, they fight the feeling that they no longer matter. And once someone believes they do not matter, it becomes much harder for them to believe that change is possible. This is why tonight's story has two lenses. One lens shows the streets, The other lens shows the spirit, how hope survives and how it gets rebuilt. So let's go deeper. Because to understand Canada's street crisis, we need to understand what winter does to the body and what indifference does to the heart. Part 2. Winter is a system. Winter homelessness is not a single event. It is a chain of logistics. When the temperature drops, life becomes a daily calculation. Where can I warm up for 20 minutes? Where can I use a restroom without being pushed out? Where can I charge a phone long enough to answer a call from a counselor? Where can I sit without being told to leave? Where can I rest without fear? In Vancouver, rain is its own kind of winter. It soaks everything: blankets, shoes, clothes, the thin walls of a tent. When everything you own is wet, your body never truly warms up. You can walk all day and still feel cold inside your bones. In Toronto, winter turns small problems into emergencies. Clothing stiffens, sidewalks freeze, wind tunnels through downtown streets. A night outside is not just uncomfortable, it can become dangerous, especially for older adults and people with health conditions. In Montreal, snow adds weight to everything: tents, tarps, makeshift shelters. A heavy snowfall can flatten someone's only cover in a few hours. Outreach teams walk through storms trying to locate people who might be buried behind walls of snow and silence. And in places like Winnipeg and Edmonton, cold can arrive with a force that feels personal. It is not only low temperatures, it is the wind, the dry air, the way your skin feels like it is cracking just to stay alive. This is where shelters and warming spaces become critical. But shelters are not a simple solution. Some shelters fill early. Some require check-in times that clash with work schedules. Some feel unsafe for certain individuals. Some separate partners. Some cannot accommodate people with mobility challenges. Some do not allow pets when a pet is the only family someone has left. So people make choices that outsiders misunderstand. A person may choose an outdoor spot they can control over a crowded indoor space that feels chaotic. A person may choose a bus stop, not because they want to, but because it has light and movement nearby. A person may choose a doorway because it blocks wind. This is why we say winter is a system. It is not only weather, it is the interaction between weather and access. When cities provide more warming spaces, longer hours, safe storage, hygiene access, and consistent outreach, people survive. When those supports are limited, the street becomes a test that too many fail. But here is the truth that deserves to be said gently and clearly. Most people living outside are not looking for pity. They are looking for a path that works in real life, not just on paper. And that brings us to the next layer of the story: health, trauma, and the street conditions that turn short-term crisis into long-term instability. Part 3. When pain becomes chemical. We have to speak about this carefully, with respect, and without sensationalism. In many Canadian cities, street homelessness is closely connected to a public health crisis involving substance use disorder. This does not define every person experiencing homelessness, but it is part of what outreach teams face every day, especially in places like Vancouver's Downtown Eastside and other high-need areas across the country. Why does this happen? Because the street creates pain, and pain looks for relief. For some, substances began as a way to cope with trauma. For some, it began with mental health struggles. For some, it began with injuries and chronic pain. For some, it began after losing housing, when the stress becomes constant and sleep becomes unsafe. And then the drug supply changed. Across North America, the street supply has become more unpredictable and more dangerous. That means the risks are higher and emergencies can happen fast. This is where harm reduction comes in. Harm reduction is not approval, it is prevention. It is a bridge to survival, because recovery is not possible if a person does not live long enough to choose it. Outreach teams carry tools that save lives. They bring basic medical support. They offer safe, non-judgmental connection. They help people stay stable long enough to consider treatment. But there is a cruel reality on the street. Readiness windows can be short. Someone may say, "I'm ready for help," and if the next appointment is weeks away, That window can close, not because the person is weak, but because the street is loud, exhausting, and unpredictable. This is why the most effective systems reduce waiting and reduce friction. Same-day assessments, mobile health teams, peer counselors, low-barrier pathways, follow-ups that actually happen. And we cannot skip the other part, mental health. Many people experiencing homelessness are carrying untreated anxiety, depression, trauma, and other conditions. When the mind is overwhelmed and the body is cold, it becomes harder to take the steps that stability requires: appointments, paperwork, deadlines, phone calls. So the real question is not, why don't they just change? The real question is, how do we build a system that meets people where they are when their lives are already overloaded? Because without that, we end up reacting to emergencies instead of building recovery. And that brings us to the heaviest part of the story: loneliness, stigma, and what happens when a person stops believing they have a future. Part 4. The loneliness nobody films. Loneliness can be heavier than cold. A person can endure discomfort. A person can endure hunger. A person can endure a rough night. But when a person feels rejected every day, something starts to change inside them. Many unhoused people describe a specific kind of pain: being surrounded by people, yet treated as if they are not there. Crowded sidewalks, busy stations, loud intersections, and still silence. No greeting, no eye contact, no acknowledgement. That kind of invisibility becomes its own prison. It can make people feel like they no longer belong to the human story. And when that happens, hope becomes fragile. This is why counselors and peer supporters often repeat the same message: just give yourself a chance. It can get better. Stay with us. One more day. That may sound simple, but for someone living outside, those words can be a lifeline. Because hope is not always a big emotion. Sometimes hope is a routine. If I sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow, I still have a chance. If someone remembers my name, I still exist. If a counselor answers my call, I'm still connected. If I make it to one appointment, I'm still moving. In some Canadian cities, programs have created spaces where people can be seen again: peer groups, storytelling circles, community art programs, drop-in centers where people are not treated like problems, but like neighbors. And something powerful happens when someone is seen. Their posture changes, their voice steadies, their eyes lift. They start making plans again. Not perfect plans, real plans. The loneliness does not vanish overnight, but connection interrupts it. And connection is not only a service. Connection can be a choice any human being can make. A simple greeting can remind someone they are still part of the world. That leads us into the next part: community, faith groups, volunteers, soup kitchens, and the quiet network that keeps people alive when the systems feel too slow. Part 5. Soup, Socks, and a Name. Across Canada, there is a hidden army of ordinary people doing extraordinary work. Soup kitchens, drop-in centers, volunteer teams, faith groups, street outreach workers, nurses in mobile units, counselors who stay late, people who carry winter kits and hand warmers, people who bring hot drinks, not questions. These places may not look like big solutions from the outside, but they often hold the line between collapse and survival. Step into a meal program on a freezing day. Outside, people are tense, shoulders hunched against wind. Inside, there is warmth not only from food, but from being welcomed without judgment. And that welcome matters. A volunteer says, "Glad you're here." A staff member says, "How have you been?" A counselor says, "I'm proud of you for showing up." A peer supporter says, "I've been where you are. Don't give up." These words carry something deeper than kindness. They carry identity. One of the most striking messages that comes from many faith-based teams is this: you have dignity. You are valuable. You matter to us. And to God, you matter too. Whether a viewer shares that faith or not, the core message is universal. A human life has worth, even when it looks broken. And worth is not something you earn by being perfect. Worth is something you have because you are alive. This is the kind of support that can shift a person's direction, not because soup is magic, but because soup is proof. Proof that someone showed up. And when someone shows up consistently, trust begins to return. Trust leads to engagement. Engagement leads to appointments. Appointments lead to documents, benefits, treatment options, housing navigation, and then, for some people, the first real step indoors. These organizations cannot solve the entire crisis alone, but they do something the world desperately needs. They refuse to treat suffering as normal. They refuse to look away. Now the final question is unavoidable. If compassion is already happening on sidewalks and in soup kitchens, what would it look like? To scale it into policy? That's our 6th part: solutions that last, not just emergency response. Part 6, a playbook that works: safety, stability, housing. If Canada wants a future where fewer people are left outside in winter, the solution cannot be only seasonal. It has to be structural. And the playbook is not mysterious. It is practical. First, prevent homelessness before it begins. That means rapid rental help when someone faces sudden job loss or medical costs. It means eviction prevention and legal support. It means keeping people housed is the fastest way to reduce street homelessness. Second, expand safe, low-barrier indoor options. People cannot rebuild while freezing and exhausted. Low barrier does not mean no rules. It means rules that fit real life and do not block people from safety. Third, strengthen health and mental health access. Mobile health teams, accessible counseling, care that does not require perfect paperwork on day one. Peer support that keeps people connected when motivation collapses. Fourth, build more supportive housing that lasts. Temporary placements help in the short term, but permanent housing is the exit. Housing with support services is especially important for people with complex health needs. Fifth, make the system easier to navigate. Replace friction with guidance. Fast ID replacement, storage, charging access, transportation support, clear information that actually matches reality. Sixth, measure outcomes, not optics. Not how many tents were moved, but how many people stayed housed at 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Because the goal is not to hide homelessness. The goal is to end it for real people, one door at a time. And here's one more truth that matters. A society is not only built by governments, it is also built by neighbors. Policy can fund housing, but community can fund hope. When people feel seen, they keep trying. When people feel abandoned, they stop. So the playbook is two-sided, systems and hearts. And now we end where we began, with the viewer and a choice. Outro, the heart that makes winter warmer. Canada is vast. Winters are long. But a community's heart can make it warmer. Not warm in the weather sense. Warm in the human sense. Warm enough for a person to believe they still have dignity. Warm enough for someone to believe they can stand up again. Warm enough for someone to take one more step towards stability. If you remember one thing from this story, remember this. No one can survive on contempt. No one can rebuild while being treated as invisible. So here is what you can do starting today. If you are watching from home, learn what resources exist in your city. Support organizations that provide meals, hygiene access, counseling, and housing navigation. Even a small donation of socks, warm layers, or hand warmers can matter in winter. If you have influence in a workplace, school, or community group, organize a winter kit drive. Partner with a credible outreach team. Help fund transportation vouchers. Support document replacement programs. These are practical steps that remove barriers. If you are a policymaker or community leader, push for prevention funding, low-barrier indoor options, and supportive housing that lasts. Demand transparent outcome reporting so progress is real, not just visible. And if you pass someone outside tonight, remember the simplest action is still powerful. A respectful look, a calm greeting, a moment that says, you are still here and you still matter. This is Homeless US News. If you want more respectful, advertiser-friendly documentaries that tell the truth without dehumanizing anyone, subscribe now. Leave a comment with one thing you think Canada should change: first, housing supply, prevention, mental health access, shelter capacity, or outreach. Your voice matters, because every share keeps these realities from being forgotten. And every moment of empathy makes the world a little safer for someone who is trying to survive one more night. Until next time, stay kind, stay aware, and remember, the light that stays is the one we keep together.